I wanted to talk today to switch things up a little by talking about what has been happening in our world, especially here in the United States. The reality of the protests against police brutality and against racism and against racial policing. I want to talk about this within the context of how Jesus has called us as Christians to behave and to declare. I know for many it may seem to be a contradiction in term to say that you are a Christian and that you are black. Now, the reality of it is I have lived the experience that they are certainly two fundamental connections of which I find great synergy. Why? Because though Christianity has often been used to declare oppression on others, Jesus himself never sided with oppressors, and neither did Jesus ever declare oppression. Contrariwise, in Isaiah 61, Isaiah prophesies 700 years into the future. Jesus fulfills this in Luke 4:18 when he says, "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he has anointed me to preach the gospel of good tidings to the poor, to heal them that are oppressed, to set them at liberty, and to preach the acceptable year of the Lord." What does this mean, and how does this translate into the world in which we live today? As Christians, we are called to live like Christ, not just to declare the name of Christ, but to do as Christ did. Not asking what would Jesus do, but what did Jesus do? I want to go back to the prophet Micah, because I think these three requirements laid out in Micah 6 verse 8 really speaks to the reality of how we are to treat each other, especially blacks in this time when they are clamoring quite righteously for justice. I'm not concerned or minded to talk about the looters, because those are the detractors from the reality and the justness of the cause, that black lives matter. It's not antiposed that no other life matters. It is saying black lives matter because we are declaring not just our humanity, but that we have always been here, and it is because of us we can speak about a modern United States of America. So Micah says, "What doth the Lord require of thee, O man?" And there are three requirements. The first, in Micah 6:8, that we should act justly. We should act justly. In other words, we should ask ourselves the question, what exactly is justice? Justice may not look like us. Justice may not be in our self-interest, but justice is always the right thing to do. And James says, "He that knows the right to do and does not do it, to him it is sin." So God has called us to act justly. If we see injustice anywhere, it is going to be a threat to justice everywhere, as Martin Luther King Jr. so eloquently described. So we should act justly. The second thing is that we should love mercy. It is important that we understand that we are called as Christians to love mercy. It doesn't mean the person have to look like us or be from where we are, but we are called to love mercy. Third, we are called to walk humbly. None of us can walk as if we are perfect. None of us can walk as if somehow we know the way at all times. When we walk humbly before our God, we rely on Him for our direction and our leading. And I want to go back to the Jesus of the Bible, not the Jesus of our invention or the Jesus of other people's machination. The Jesus of the gospel declares that He was a friend of the poor, declared that He would feed those who were hungered, declared that He would heal those who were infirm, and He was not afraid to buck the trend. Just picture Jesus, unlike the emaciated one that we have socialized ourselves to believe, but the Jesus of the Bible, He kicked over a money changer's table in the temple, and He drove those who were selling out of the temple. And He spoke to the religious leaders and He says, "You are whitened sepulchres, pure and pretty on the outside, but inside you are full of dead men's bones." What He was saying wasn't necessarily talking about the reality that you shouldn't dress well. He's saying they have focused on the wrong thing. As we declare ourselves as Christians, are we acting like Christ would act? That is what we should ask themselves. Jesus was not afraid of confronting oppression, of confronting injustice. And so none of us should hide behind the name of Christ to say, well, I can't do that because I'm a lover of peace. Jesus has caused his people to act like Christ. What does it mean to act like Christ? I tell my friends all the time that when you say you are a Christian, it is not what you say, but it is what you do. I believe that if we are going to call ourselves Christians, we should be action words rather than just nouns. We should be verbs rather than just nouns. So how are you acting out Christ? Love your brother, love your sister, irrespective of their skin color. Stand with them in the cause of justice, because today the oppression is on blacks, and a century from now it could be on someone else. And so I say to you, if you name the name of Christ, you must act justly, you must love mercy, and you must walk humbly before our God. One love, peace and blessings.